You are loved, little one. You are perfect. You are wanted. The word stopped King Theron Blackwell in his tracks like a blade through the heart. He stood frozen in the doorway of the East Wing medical chamber, staring at something that should not exist. A small human girl with wild brown hair and dirt on her knees sat cross-legged on the floor, his dying son cradled in her lap like he was the most precious thing in the world. She was feeding him mashed banana with a tiny silver spoon, and Riven, his broken, failing heir who had never done anything but scream in pain for 18 months, was eating. Not just eating. Thriving. The baby's pale skin had color Theron had never seen before. His eyes were bright and focused instead of clouded with suffering. His small hand gripped the little girl's finger with strength that should have been impossible. And he was making sounds that were not cries of agony but soft coos of contentment. Theron's chest tightened in a way he had not felt in over 500 years. The royal physician stood in the corner, his ancient face carved with wonder and confusion. "Your Majesty," he whispered, not wanting to break the spell. "She has been coming for 7 days. Every day, the young prince grows stronger." "This cannot be real," Theron said, but his voice came out rough and broken. The little girl looked up then, and her eyes were fearless. She could not have been more than 8 years old, wearing faded overalls and a yellow shirt with a sunflower on it. She did not bow, did not lower her gaze, did not show even a flicker of the terror every living thing felt in his presence. Instead, she smiled. "He was crying," she said simply. "Nobody came. So I stayed." 4 words. Nobody came. They hit Theron like a physical blow because they were true. He had not come. He had avoided this room for months, unable to face his own failure, unable to look at the son he could not save and did not know how to love. "Who are you?" Theron demanded. "I am Briar," she said. "My daddy takes care of the gardens. Riven and I are friends now." Riven. She had named him. Or learned his name. Either way, she said it with affection, like he mattered, like his broken body and failing systems did not make him worthless. The physician stepped forward nervously. "Forgive me, Your Majesty, but you need to see this." He gestured to a chart on the medical table. 7 days ago, the prince was hours from death. He would not feed. Would not respond. His body was shutting down. Then she appeared. And everything changed. Changed how? Theron moved closer, his eyes never leaving his son's face. "He eats human food when she feeds him," the physician said. "Mashed fruits. Soft bread. Water. Things that should poison a vampire infant. But his body accepts it. Only from her. And when she holds him, his vital signs stabilize. When she sings, his pain responses decrease by 70%. It is like her presence regulates his entire system." Theron looked at this impossible little girl who was humming softly now, wiping a bit of banana from Riven's chin with gentle fingers. "A bond," Theron whispered. The physician nodded gravely. "I believe so, Your Majesty. The child has bonded to the prince. In all my centuries, I have never seen a vampire infant bond to a human, but there is no other explanation. Bonds were sacred in vampire culture. Unbreakable. Eternal. They happened between mates, between sire and turned, between vampire parent and child. But never between vampire and human. Never between royalty and a groundskeeper's daughter. Never. Theron's mind raced through the implications. The council would call this heresy. His enemies would use it to destroy him. Vivian, his former queen who had abandoned their broken son, would laugh at this final humiliation. But as he watched Briar lift Riven to her shoulder and pat his back gently, as he watched his son burp and then make a sound that might have been a laugh, Theron realized something that shattered every wall he had built around his heart. He did not care what the council thought. He did not care what his enemies said. He only cared that his son was alive. For 18 months, Theron had watched Riven fade like a candle in the wind. The best physicians in the vampire world had tried everything. Ancient blood rituals, magical infusions, spells older than Christianity. Nothing worked. His son's body rejected blood the way human bodies rejected poison. It should have been impossible. It was a curse, a genetic mutation, a flaw that appeared once every 1,000 years in vampire bloodlines and always ended in death. Theron had been preparing himself for that death. Had been building walls around the grief, telling himself it was better this way, that a weak heir would destroy his kingdom, that mercy meant letting go. But he had been lying to himself. Because watching Riven now, seeing him content and fed and safe in the arms of this strange little girl, Theron knew the truth. He had been a coward. Too afraid of his own pain to sit with his sons. Too afraid of appearing weak to actually be strong. Too afraid of love to let himself feel it. The door burst open behind him. Henrik, the groundskeeper, stood there with panic carved into every line of his weathered face. He was human, in his 40s, with kind eyes that had gone wide with terror. Briar! Henrik gasped. Oh gods, Briar, what have you done? He rushed forward, reaching for his daughter, and Briar looked up in confusion. Daddy, I was just helping. The baby was alone and he needed. We have to go, Henrik said, his voice shaking. Right now. Before. He saw Theron and went completely still. Then he dropped to his knees, his head bowed. Your Majesty, forgive her. She is just a child. She did not know. I will take her far away tonight. We will never speak of this. Please, I beg you, spare her life. Theron stared at this human man who was offering to uproot his entire existence to save his daughter from a king's wrath that had not even formed yet. That was what love looked like. Stand up, Theron said quietly. Henrik obeyed, trembling. Take her, Henrik said to Briar, extending his arms. But the moment Briar tried to hand Riven to the physician, the baby's face twisted. His small body went rigid. And then he started convulsing, his back arching, his eyes rolling back, the seizures that had nearly killed him 100 times before returning with vicious speed. No. Briar pulled Riven back to her chest immediately, and within seconds, the convulsions stopped. The baby relaxed, whimpering, pressing his face against her shoulder. The physician's voice was grim. The bond is already too strong. Separation causes him physical distress. Henrik's face drained of all color. What does that mean? It means, Theron said, and his voice carried the weight of a decision that would change everything. The girl stays. The room went silent. Your Majesty, Henrik breathed. Please. She is only 8 years old. This world will destroy her. Theron looked at Briar, at the fierce protectiveness in her young face as she held his son, at the way she had walked into a dying child's room and decided he was worth saving when everyone else, including his own father, had given up. She is the only reason my son is breathing, Theron said. So she stays. Both of you. That is not a request. Henrik opened his mouth to protest, but Theron raised one hand. I will protect her, Theron said, and he meant it with every fiber of his ancient being. No harm will come to your daughter under my roof. You have my word as king. Briar looked between her father and Theron, her arms still wrapped around Riven. Do I have to leave him? She asked, and her voice was so small, so worried. Theron knelt down slowly, until he was at her eye level. His son looked at him from Briar's arms, and for the first time in 18 months, Riven's eyes focused on his father's face. "No, little one," Theron said softly. "You do not have to leave him. He needs you." Briar's face broke into a smile that could have lit the darkest corner of the world. "Okay. Then I will stay. I will take good care of him. I promise." And Theron, who had not cried since the day he was turned vampire 547 years ago, felt something hot and impossible building behind his eyes. "Before we go any further, I need to know something. Where in the world are you watching this from? Seriously, drop your city or country in the comments because I love seeing how far this story reaches. And if you are feeling this the way I am, hit that subscribe button. Join our family. Because that is what we are building here. A community that believes broken things can be beautiful. You do not want to miss what happens next. Trust me." 3 days had passed, and Theron's world had turned completely upside down. Briar had been moved into the east wing. A small bed had been set up in the corner of Riven's medical chamber, covered in blankets she had brought from home and a stuffed rabbit that had seen better days. She treated the whole thing like an adventure, chattering about how she had never slept in a castle before, how the ceiling was so high, how Riven's room smelled like lavender and old books. Henrik had tried to refuse. Had stood in Theron's study with his weathered hands clenched and said his daughter belonged at home, in their cottage, in a normal life. But normal was already gone. Riven could not be separated from Briar for more than an hour without the seizures returning. The physician had tried twice, hoping distance would weaken the bond. Both times, Riven had nearly died. Both times, the moment Briar returned and touched him, his small body had relaxed and the color had flooded back into his pale cheeks. So Briar stayed. And Theron watched. He stood in the doorway of the medical chamber at all hours, unable to leave, unable to enter. He watched Briar feed Riven mashed sweet potato and applesauce, watched her sing him lullabies in a voice that was off-key but full of love, watched her read him picture books about talking animals in faraway places. Riven's eyes followed her everywhere. When she laughed, he made sounds that might have been attempts to laugh too. When she slept, he slept. When she woke, he woke. It was magic. Impossible, unexplainable magic. And it was destroying every belief Theron had built over 5 centuries. He had told himself love was weakness. That attachment led to pain. That the only way to survive eternity was to care about nothing and no one except power. He had built an empire on that philosophy. Had crushed enemies. Had ruled with an iron fist. Had become the most feared vampire king in the Eastern Territories. But this 8-year-old human child had walked into his life and shattered everything in 72 hours. On the 3rd night, as Briar sat in the rocking chair with Riven drowsing in her arms, she looked up and saw Theron in his usual spot in the doorway. "Why don't you hold him?" she asked. The question was so simple. So direct. The way children ask things before the world taught them to be afraid. "I have a kingdom to run," Theron said, his voice flat. Briar tilted her head, studying him with eyes that were far too knowing. "Kingdoms can wait," she said. "He is your baby. Do you even know what his favorite song is?" Theron had no answer. "It is Twinkle Twinkle Little Star," Briar continued. "But only if you do the hand motions. And he likes to be held on the left side because the right side makes his tummy hurt. And he smiles when you say his name in a silly voice. Did you know that?" "No," Theron admitted quietly. "I did not know that." "You should learn," Briar said, and there was no judgment in her voice. Just fact. Because he's really special. And he will not be little forever. The words hit Theron like stones. Because the truth was, He did not know if Riven would grow at all. Did not know if this miraculous recovery would last or if it was just borrowed time. Did not know if loving his son would make losing him hurt less or infinitely more. Henrik appeared in the doorway behind Theron, carrying a tray with Briar's dinner. Soup and bread and apple slices. Simple human food that smelled warm and alive. Time for bed soon, little bird, Henrik said softly to his daughter. But Daddy, I have to make sure Riven finishes his bottle first, Briar protested, holding up a bottle of diluted fruit juice that the physician had prepared. The physician says he can wait until morning, Henrik said. You need sleep too. Briar's face scrunched up in worry. But what if he wakes up scared? Then the physician will be here, Henrik said firmly. Come on now. Reluctantly, Briar stood and placed Riven carefully in his crib, tucking a soft blanket around him and placing a small cloth near his face that smelled like her. It was something the physician had suggested to help ease the separation anxiety. Riven's eyes opened, tracking her movement. I will be right here, Briar whispered to him, pointing to her little bed in the corner. Right here all night. You are safe. She kissed her fingers and pressed them to Riven's forehead. A gesture so tender it made Theron's chest ache. Henrik guided Briar to wash up and change into her pajamas, the same ones with stars on them that she had worn the night Theron first found her. Within minutes, she was asleep, her small body curled around the stuffed rabbit, her breathing deep and even. The physician checked Riven's vital signs one last time and then quietly left, giving Theron a respectful nod. And then Theron was alone with his son. He moved closer to the crib, his footsteps silent on the stone floor. Riven was awake, staring up at the ceiling, his small fingers opening and closing. In the candlelight, he looked almost healthy. Almost normal. Theron reached down slowly and placed one finger in Riven's palm. The baby's hand closed around it immediately, gripping with surprising strength. Something broke open in Theron's chest. I am sorry, he whispered. I am sorry I was not strong enough to sit with your pain. I am sorry I hid from you. I am sorry I let shame be stronger than love. Riven's eyes turned toward his father's voice. But I am here now, Theron continued, his voice rough. And I will learn. I will learn your favorite song and which side you like to be held on and how to make you smile. I swear it. Riven made a small sound, and Theron chose to believe it was forgiveness. But then, Riven's face twisted. His body went rigid. The seizure started without warning, violent and terrifying, his small back arching off the mattress. No, Theron breathed, reaching for him. But the moment he touched Riven, the baby screamed louder. The physician came running. Henrik woke, stumbling from the small side chamber where he had been resting. Briar shot up in bed. What is happening? Henrik demanded. The convulsions are back, the physician said, trying to administer medicine, but Riven thrashed, knocking the spoon away. Briar scrambled out of bed and ran to the crib. Move, she said to Theron, and there was command in her small voice. Theron stepped back. Briar climbed up on a stool and lifted Riven into her arms, and the change was instant. The convulsions slowed. The screaming stopped. Within 30 seconds, Riven was whimpering softly, his face pressed against Briar's shoulder. I am here, Briar whispered, swaying back and forth. I am here. You are not alone. She began to sing, the same lullaby Theron had heard her sing a dozen times. A song about stars and dreams and being safe. And Riven's breathing steadied, his small body relaxing completely. The physician was staring, his ancient face troubled. Your Majesty, I need to run a test. What kind of test? He moved closer to Briar and Riven, inhaling deeply. Then his eyes widened. There is a pheromone coming from the child when she is close to the prince. I can smell it now. It is faint, but it is there. Calming. Regulating. Her very presence produces a chemical response in him. What does that mean? Henrik asked, fear creeping into his voice. It means the bond is not just emotional, the physician said. It is biological. Her body is producing something his body needs. Without it, he destabilizes. How is that possible? Theron demanded. She is human. I do not know, the physician admitted. But it is happening. Can we replicate it? Theron asked. Synthesize whatever she is producing? The physician shook his head. Not with any science or magic I know. The bond is too complex. So what are you saying? Henrik's voice rose. That my daughter is a medicine? That she can never leave? The physician hesitated. I am saying separation may kill the prince. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Briar, oblivious to the conversation, had settled back into the rocking chair with Riven, still humming softly. Theron looked at Henrik and saw the fear and anger warring in the man's eyes. You promised to protect her, Henrik said quietly. But this is not protection. This is a cage. Before Theron could respond, there was a knock at the chamber door. A servant entered, his face pale. Your Majesty, forgive the intrusion, but there are visitors at the main gate. Council members. They are demanding an audience. At this hour? Theron's voice went cold. They say it cannot wait, the servant whispered. They say they have heard troubling rumors about the East Wing. Theron's blood turned to ice. Who told them? The servant swallowed hard. I do not know, Your Majesty. But Castellan Draven is with them. And he says if you do not meet with them tonight, they will invoke emergency council powers and enter the East Wing by force. Draven. Of course it was Draven. His oldest rival. The vampire who had whispered poison in Vivian's ear, who had convinced her to leave, who had been waiting for any sign of weakness to strike. Tell them I will meet them in my study, Theron said. 10 minutes. The servant bowed and left. Theron turned to Henrik. Lock this door behind me. Let no one in except the physician. And if they try to force their way in? Henrik asked. Then you fight, Theron said. And you scream. And I will come. He looked at Briar one last time, this little girl who had saved his son and was now in danger because of it. Then he walked out to face his enemies. He made it halfway down the corridor before he heard the main doors of the East Wing slam open. Heavy footsteps. Multiple vampires. Coming fast. Theron turned and saw them. Draven at the front, tall and silver-haired, with 3 other council members flanking him. Their faces were carved from stone and judgment. We need to talk about the abomination you are hiding, Draven said, his voice echoing off the walls. And Theron knew the real battle had just begun. Oh, this is getting intense. Tell me you are feeling this. Tell me your heart is racing like mine. Drop your thoughts in the comments because I need to know you are with me on this journey. And if you have not subscribed yet, do it now. We are just getting started and you do not want to miss what is coming. This community is growing every day and you are part of it. You are family. The council chamber had not been used in over a year. It was a circular room deep in the heart of Ravencrest, carved from black stone that seemed to swallow light. 12 high-backed chairs formed a semicircle around a raised throne where Theron now sat, his face a mask of cold fury. Draven stood in the center of the circle like a prosecutor, his silver hair catching the torchlight, his eyes gleaming with barely concealed triumph. Behind him, 3 other council members watched with expressions that ranged from curiosity to disgust. "Let me be clear about what we know," Riven began, his voice carrying through the chamber. "Your heir, the child you claimed died at birth, is alive. He is severely disabled. And you have been keeping him hidden in the East Wing for 18 months, in direct violation of the purity laws." Theron's hands gripped the armrests of his throne. The purity laws were ancient. Vampires born with defects were meant to be ended quickly, mercifully, to keep bloodlines strong. It was brutal. It was efficient. And Theron had enforced those very laws himself 100 times over the centuries. Now they were being used against his own son. "My heir is none of your concern," Theron said, his voice deadly quiet. "On the contrary," Riven smiled. "The health and strength of the royal bloodline is every council member's concern. But that is not even the worst of it." He gestured, and the doors opened. 2 vampire guards entered, dragging Henrik between them. The groundskeeper's hands were bound, his face bruised. Theron was on his feet instantly. "Release him." "Not until we have answers," Riven said. "Tell us, groundskeeper. Is it true your human daughter has been living in the royal chambers? Touching the prince? Feeding him?" Henrik's jaw was set. "I will not answer your questions." "Then perhaps the child will." The doors opened again, and Theron's world stopped. Another guard carried Briar into the chamber. She was not bound, but she was clearly terrified, her small body rigid, her eyes searching the room until they found her father. "Daddy!" she cried out. "I am here, baby," Henrik called back. "I am right here." "Put her down," Theron commanded, his voice shaking with rage. "Now." The guard placed Briar on the floor. She immediately tried to run to Henrik, but Riven stepped into her path. "Stay where you are, little human," Riven said, looking down at her with cold amusement. Briar stopped, her small hands clenched into fists. "Where is Riven?" she demanded. "I need to check on Riven." "The abomination is being tended to," Riven said dismissively. "His name is Riven," Briar said, her voice shaking but fierce. "And he is not an abomination. He is a baby." Several council members shifted uncomfortably. A human child, all of 8 years old, was lecturing a vampire elder. Riven's smile widened. "How precious. She thinks she has a say in vampire matters." He turned to Theron. "This is what you have allowed, my king." A human child speaking out of turn. "Forming attachments to our kind. This bond you have permitted is unnatural. Dangerous. It is also the only thing keeping my son alive," Theron said. "Then your son should not be alive," one of the other council members said coldly. "If he cannot survive without a human crutch, then he is too weak to carry the Blackwell name." The words hit Theron like a physical blow, but before he could respond, Briar spoke. "You are mean," she said, glaring at the council member. "Riven is not weak. He is just different. And different does not mean bad." "Silence, child," the council member snapped. "No," Briar shot back, and every vampire in the room froze. Theron had never seen a human child defy a vampire elder and live. "I will not be silent. You are talking about killing a baby because he is not like you. That is wrong. That is evil." Riven laughed, a cold sound that echoed off the stone walls. "Evil? We are vampires, child. We are beyond your human morality." "My mama used to say the worst evil is the kind that thinks it is right," Briar said. Henrik's voice broke. "Briar, please. Stop talking." But Briar was not done. She looked directly at Theron. You promised you would protect me. You promised. And I will, Theron said. Then protect Riven too, Briar pleaded. Please. He needs you. The vulnerability in her voice, the desperate hope, shattered something in Theron's carefully constructed control. Enough of this, Draven said. The facts are simple. The prince is defective. He is being kept alive through forbidden means. The appropriate action is clear. He must be mercifully ended, and the humans who know our secrets must be eliminated. Henrik lunged against his bonds. You will not touch my daughter. Peace, groundskeeper, or we will make this worse. Lady Seraphine, one of the older council members, spoke for the first time. Her voice was measured, thoughtful. I have a question, if I may. Draven gestured for her to continue. She looked at Briar. Child, why do you care so much about the prince? You are human. He is vampire. In the natural order, you should fear him. I do not think about natural order, Briar said simply. I just think about Riven. He was alone and scared and hurting. Nobody should be alone like that. But he is not your responsibility. Briar's eyes filled with tears. Maybe not. But I love him anyway. Is that wrong? The chamber went silent. Love, Lady Seraphine repeated softly. When was the last time any of us spoke that word in these halls? Love is weakness, Draven spat. And this display proves it. He turned to Theron. Your attachment to this defective heir and these humans has compromised your judgment. Therefore, I invoke the ancient right of the council. Vote of confidence. We will determine here and now if you are still fit to rule. Murmurs rippled through the council members. Henrik's face went pale. What does that mean? It means, Theron said, his voice hollow, if the council votes against me, I lose my throne. And everything I have sworn to protect becomes theirs to do with as they please. Including Briar and Riven. Draven smiled. Exactly. So let us vote. All in favor of removing King Theron Blackwell for gross incompetence and violation of our most sacred laws? 3 hands went up immediately. Draven's cronies. All in favor of allowing him to remain as king? Lady Seraphine raised her hand. So did one other elder. That left 7 council members undecided. One by one, they voted. Some for removal. Some for keeping Theron. The count was tied. 6-6. The deciding vote belonged to Draven, as the senior council member. He let the silence stretch, savoring his moment of power. I vote, he began, his eyes locked on Theron's face. And then the chamber doors exploded open. A woman entered, tall and breathtaking, with dark hair that fell like a waterfall down her back and eyes the color of winter ice. She wore a gown that cost more than most people earned in a lifetime, and she moved like a queen. Because she was. Vivian. Stop this vote, she commanded, her voice ringing with authority. I invoke spousal veto. Theron's blood turned to ice. Spousal veto was an ancient law, rarely used, that allowed a queen to override council decisions. But Vivian had dissolved their marriage bond. She had no legal standing. Unless she had come back to reclaim it. And I am claiming my son, Vivian continued, her eyes sweeping the chamber until they landed on the doors to the east wing. Where is Riven? I want to see my baby. Your baby? Theron's voice was pure venom. You abandoned him. You left him to die. Vivian's smile was cold. I left because you were too weak to do what was necessary. But I have heard the most interesting rumors. That he is thriving now. that he is being healed. She looked at Briar with calculating eyes. By a human child, no less. How fascinating. Draven stepped forward, and Theron understood in that moment that this had been planned. Draven had sent for Vivian. Had coordinated this entire attack. She has every right to see her son, Draven said. She has no rights, Theron roared. She gave them up the moment she walked away. Actually, Lady Seraphine said quietly, according to ancient law, she does. Unless the marriage bond was formally dissolved by both parties, she retains her status as Queen Mother. It was dissolved, Theron said desperately. She laughed. But did you sign the papers? Vivian asked, her smile widening. Did you formally release me? Theron's silence was answer enough. He had been too angry, too broken, to finalize anything. He had simply let her go. Then I am still queen, Vivian said. And I want my son. Now. Before anyone could move, before anyone could breathe, Vivian walked toward the east wing doors. And Theron knew that if she reached Riven, if she took him, Briar would fight to keep the baby safe. And Vivian would kill her without a second thought. Tell me you did not see that coming. Tell me you are as shocked as I am right now. Drop a comment, seriously, because I need to know what you are thinking. And listen, if you are not subscribed, you need to fix that right now. This story is about to go places you cannot even imagine. Join us. Be part of this community. You will not regret it. Theron moved faster than light itself. He was in front of Vivian before she took 3 steps, blocking her path to the east wing with his body. You will not touch him, he said, and his voice carried the weight of 500 years of power. Vivian stopped, her perfect face showing the faintest flicker of surprise. My. The mighty Theron Blackwell finally showing some spine. How refreshing. Leave, Theron commanded. Now. Before I forget you were ever my queen. Vivian laughed, and it was a sound like breaking glass. You cannot banish me. I have every legal right to see my son. And from what I hear, he is finally worth seeing. The cruelty in those words made several council members flinch. Briar's small voice cut through the tension. You left him when he needed you. You do not get to come back now. Every vampire in the chamber turned to stare at this 8-year-old human child who had just addressed a queen. Vivian's eyes narrowed. Who is this little creature? That is Briar, Draven said smoothly. The human I mentioned. The one who has somehow managed to stabilize the prince. Quite the medical miracle. Vivian moved closer to Briar, circling her like a predator. The little girl stood her ground, but Theron could see her hands shaking. So you are the one keeping my son alive, Vivian said. How very noble. Tell me, child, do you understand what you have done? I helped a baby who was hurting, Briar said. You created a bond with vampire royalty, Vivian corrected. You made yourself indispensable. Which means you have made yourself a target. Every enemy my husband has, and he has many, will now want you dead or captured. You have painted a bull's eye on your little human back. Henrik struggled against the guards holding him. Leave her alone. Vivian ignored him. She knelt down until she was eye level with Briar. I can protect you, she said, her voice suddenly gentle. I can take you and Riven somewhere safe. Somewhere far from all these political games. Would you like that? Briar's eyes flickered with hope for just a moment. Really? No, Theron said sharply. Vivian stood, her mask of kindness dropping instantly. You have no say in this, Theron. I am invoking my rights as Queen Mother. I am taking my son. And since the child is bonded to him, she comes too. Over my dead body, Theron said. That can be arranged, Riven said coldly. He gestured, and more guards entered the chamber. 10 of them. All loyal to him. My king, you are outnumbered. Step aside. Theron's hands curled into fists. He could fight. Could probably kill half of them before they brought him down. But in the chaos, Briar could get hurt. Henrik could die. And Vivian would take Riven anyway. He was trapped. Lady Seraphine stood from her chair. This is madness. You cannot just seize the king's heir. Watch me, Vivian said. She nodded to Draven, and 2 guards moved toward the east wing doors. But before they could reach them, the doors opened from the inside. The royal physician stood there, his ancient face grave. He held Riven in his arms, and the baby was crying, his small face red, his body trembling. He will not stop, the physician said quietly. He knows she is gone. He is asking for her. Riven's cries were weak but desperate, and they echoed through the chamber like an accusation. Briar lunged forward. Let me go to him. Please. The guards holding her father tightened their grip. Vivian reached for Riven, and the physician had no choice but to hand him over. The moment Vivian touched her son, her face changed. She had expected to feel something, perhaps. Some maternal instinct. Some connection. But Riven screamed louder. He thrashed in her arms, his small body convulsing, and Vivian nearly dropped him in shock. What is wrong with him? She demanded. He wants Briar, the physician said simply. Then give him the child. The guards shoved Briar forward. She stumbled, caught herself, and ran to Vivian. The moment Briar touched Riven's hand, the baby's screaming stopped. His body relaxed. He turned his face toward her, seeking comfort. Vivian stared down at her son, at the way he reached for a human child instead of his own mother, and something dark passed over her face. This bond is unnatural, she said quietly. It is also the only thing keeping him alive, the physician reminded her. Vivian's jaw tightened. Then we will break it. There are ways. Blood magic. Memory spells. We will sever this connection and make him normal. No. Briar clutched Riven tighter. That will kill him. Better dead than bonded to a human, Vivian said coldly, and the words hung in the air like poison. Theron had heard enough. He moved toward Vivian, but Draven's guards blocked his path. My queen, Draven said smoothly, perhaps there is another solution. One that benefits everyone. Vivian turned to him. I am listening. The child has value, Draven continued. Her bond to the prince makes her unique. Powerful, even. What if instead of breaking the bond, we use it? Keep the girl under strict control. Use her to keep the prince stable. And when he is old enough, when he is strong enough, then we sever the connection. You mean keep her as a prisoner, Lady Seraphine said, disgust in her voice. I mean keep her as a resource, Draven corrected. For the good of the kingdom. Henrik's roar shook the chamber. She is a child. My child. Not a tool. Vivian considered this, her eyes calculating. It has merit. But there is still the problem of Theron. His judgment has been compromised. He is too attached to these humans to rule effectively. Then we remove him, Draven said. And you rule as regent until the prince comes of age. The plan clicked into place in Theron's mind. This had always been the endgame. Draven wanted the throne. Vivian wanted power. and they were willing to use Riven and Briar as pawns to get it. Theron's voice cut through the scheming like a blade. No. Draven smiled. You have no choice, old friend. I have every choice, Theron said. And I choose to invoke trial by combat. The chamber went silent. Trial by combat was the oldest vampire law. A challenge that could not be refused. If Theron won, all charges against him were dropped. If he lost, everything he had would belong to the victor. You are in no condition to fight, Draven said, but there was uncertainty in his eyes. Then you have nothing to fear, Theron said. Name your champion. Draven's smile returned. Very well. My champion is Cain. The doors opened, and a mountain of a vampire entered. Cain was 7 feet tall, built like a nightmare, with scars covering every inch of exposed skin. He had fought in the vampire wars. Had killed hundreds. Had never lost a single combat in 300 years. Henrik's face went white. You cannot fight him. You have not fed properly in weeks. You are exhausted. Theron looked at his old friend, at Briar, at his son. I know. Then why? Henrik demanded. Because some things are worth dying for, Theron said simply. Vivian's laugh was cruel. How poetic. Very well. The trial will take place tomorrow at sunset. That gives you 24 hours to prepare. Or to say goodbye. She handed Riven back to the physician. Keep the child and the baby together for now. We will deal with them after Theron is dead. She swept from the chamber, Draven and his guards following. The remaining council members dispersed quietly, leaving only Theron, Henrik, Briar, and the physician. Henrik's voice broke. You cannot win this. Cain is a trained killer. I know, Theron said. Then what are you doing? Buying time, Theron said. And showing my son that some battles are worth fighting even when you know you will lose. Briar walked up to him, still holding Riven. You are not going to lose, she said with fierce certainty. You are the strongest person here. Theron knelt down, looking into her eyes. I am not, little one. I am just a father trying to protect his family. And I am very, very scared. My daddy says being brave is not being scared, Briar said. Being brave is being scared and doing it anyway. Your daddy is a wise man, Theron said. He touched Riven's small hand, and his son gripped his finger. For the first time in 18 months, Theron allowed himself to feel the full weight of his love for this broken, perfect child. And he knew that tomorrow, he would fight with everything he had. Even though it would not be enough. I cannot breathe. Can you breathe? Because this story just took a turn I did not see coming. Tell me what you think is going to happen. Tell me if you think Theron can survive this. Drop your predictions below. And if you have not subscribed, what are you even doing? Hit that button. Join this family. We are just getting started and you belong here with us. 24 hours felt like 24 seconds. Theron spent the time in the East Wing with Riven and Briar, watching his son eat mashed pears and listening to the little girl read a story about a brave mouse who saved a lion. The irony was not lost on him. He was the lion. She was the mouse. And she had already saved him in ways he was only beginning to understand. Henrik sat in the corner, sharpening a knife he had brought from the groundskeeping shed. It would do nothing against vampires, but Theron understood the need to hold a weapon when you felt powerless. He had been doing it for centuries. You should leave, Theron told him quietly while Briar was distracted with Riven. Take your daughter tonight. I will create a diversion. You can be 50 miles away before anyone notices. Henrik did not look up from his sharpening. And abandon you? Abandon Riven? What kind of man do you think I am? A smart one, Theron said. Henrik finally met his eyes. I spent 3 years running from Briar's mother's family. 3 years looking over my shoulder. 3 years teaching my daughter to be invisible and silent and small. And you know what I learned? What? Running does not save you. It just makes you tired. Henrik set down the knife. For the first time in her life, Briar is not hiding. She is not afraid. She is helping someone who needs her. She is being brave. I will not take that away from her by dragging her back into the shadows. Even if it costs her life? Henrik's voice broke. Even then. Because at least she will have lived. The words settled between them like a vow. When sunset came, the chamber beneath Ravencrest filled with vampires. Word had spread through the territory that the king was fighting for his throne, and everyone wanted to witness either his victory or his downfall. The circular stone arena was lit by torches that cast dancing shadows across the walls. The air smelled like old blood and older stone. Theron stood in the center, wearing simple black clothing, no armor, no weapons. Across from him, Cain rolled his massive shoulders and cracked his neck. The sound echoed like breaking bones. The rules are simple, Draven announced from his seat in the observation gallery. Fight until one of you cannot continue. No interference. No mercy. The winner claims all. Vivian sat beside him, her face carefully neutral, but Theron saw the anticipation in her eyes. She wanted him to lose. Wanted him humiliated. Wanted everything he had built. In the gallery above, separated from the main crowd, Briar and Henrik stood with the physician. Riven was in Briar's arms, and the baby seemed to sense the tension. He was unusually quiet, his wide eyes fixed on Theron. The little girl's voice rang out clear and strong. You can do this. Theron looked up at her and tried to smile. But he knew the truth. He had not fed properly in weeks. Had not slept. Had spent every ounce of his energy trying to hold his crumbling world together. Cain was rested, fed, and trained for exactly this kind of fight. The odds were not in Theron's favor. Lady Seraphine stood to give the official start. Let the trial begin. Cain moved first, and he moved like an avalanche. Fast and brutal and unstoppable. His fist connected with Theron's ribs with a crack that echoed through the chamber. Theron stumbled back, tasting blood. He tried to counter, but his movements were slow, sluggish. Cain blocked easily and landed another devastating blow to Theron's jaw. The crowd murmured. This was going to be a massacre. Theron fought anyway. He had 5 centuries of experience, and he used every trick he knew. He was faster than Cain, more strategic, able to read his opponent's movements. For the first 5 minutes, he held his own through pure skill. But skill could not overcome exhaustion forever. Cain caught him with an uppercut that sent Theron crashing into the stone wall. He felt ribs crack. Felt his shoulder dislocate. Tasted blood filling his mouth. Get up, Briar screamed from the gallery. Please get up. Theron pushed himself to his knees, his vision blurring. Cain was already coming at him again. This time, the blow sent Theron to the ground. He tried to rise, but his body would not obey. Everything hurt. Everything was failing. Cain stood over him, his massive foot pressing down on Theron's chest. Any last words, Your Majesty? Theron's eyes found Briar in the gallery. She was crying, clutching Riven, and Henrik had his arms around both of them. Yes, Theron rasped. I am sorry. Cain raised his fist for the killing blow. And then Briar did something that stopped every heart in the chamber. She handed Riven to Henrik and jumped. An 8-year-old human child jumped from the gallery into the arena 20 feet below. She hit the ground hard, rolling, crying out in pain but scrambling to her feet immediately. The entire crowd gasped. Interference was forbidden. The penalty was death. Briar ran to Theron and threw her small body over his, shielding him with her own. "Stop it," she screamed at Cain. "Stop hurting him." Cain stared down at this impossible child, confusion crossing his scarred face. Draven was on his feet. "Remove the human. She has violated sacred law." But no one moved. Because what they were witnessing was so shocking, so unprecedented, that even vampires who had lived for centuries did not know what to do. Briar looked at Theron, her face inches from his. "You said some things are worth fighting for. Well, you are worth fighting for. So get up. Please. Just get up." "I cannot," Theron whispered. "I am sorry, little one. I am not strong enough." "Then take what you need," Briar said. "What? You need blood to heal, right? Then take mine." Understanding crashed through Theron. "No. Absolutely not. You said you would protect me," Briar said, tears streaming down her face. "But who protects you? Let me help. Please." "Child, you do not know what you are asking." Briar pushed up her sleeve, exposing her small wrist. "Yes, I do. And I am asking anyway." Cain stepped back, uncertain. This was beyond his orders. Theron looked into Briar's eyes and saw absolute certainty. She understood the risk. Understood what she was offering. And she was offering it anyway. From the gallery, Henrik's voice was broken. "Briar, no." "Daddy, I have to," Briar called back. "I have to. If I start," Theron said quietly, "I may not be able to stop." "Yes, you will," Briar said with the same fierce certainty she always had. "Because you are not a monster. And because Riven needs his daddy." The words broke him. Theron took her wrist gently and bit down. The first taste of her blood was like lightning. It was not just the physical strength flooding his system. It was something else. Something that came through the bond she shared with Riven. Pure, unconditional love. Acceptance without judgment. Faith without evidence. It burned through him like sunlight, healing his broken ribs, his dislocated shoulder, the internal bleeding. But more than that, it healed something deeper. Something that had been broken for so long he had forgotten it was wounded. He took only what he needed and then pulled away, his fangs retracting. Briar swayed, pale, and he caught her. "Thank you," he whispered. "You are welcome," she murmured, and then she fainted. Theron stood, cradling Briar in his arms, and the crowd saw a king transformed. His eyes were clear. His body was healed. And there was something different in his face. Something that looked like hope. Cain took a step back. "Your Majesty, I..." Theron moved faster than thought. He placed Briar gently on the ground and then he fought. Really fought. With the strength her sacrifice had given him and the purpose her faith had restored. Within 2 minutes, Cain was on his knees. Within 3, he was unconscious. The crowd erupted in shocked applause. Theron stood over his fallen opponent, breathing hard, and turned to face Draven. "The trial is won," he said. "The charges are dismissed." But Draven was already standing. And so was Vivian. And the look on their faces told Theron this was far from over. Vivian's voice rang out cold and clear. Very touching. Very brave. But it changes nothing. I am formally challenging you for the throne, Theron. Queen's right. Tomorrow at sunset. The crowd went silent. Queen's right was even more binding than trial by combat. If Vivian won, she would not just take the throne. She would take everything. Territory, wealth, and the legal right to do whatever she wanted with Riven and Briar. Theron's heart sank. He had just fought the battle of his life. His body was healed but exhausted. Vivian was fresh, rested, and had been training with European masters for 18 months. He could not win. Accept or forfeit your crown now, Vivian demanded. Theron looked up at Henrik holding Riven, at Briar unconscious on the arena floor, at Lady Seraphine who had tried to help, at the council members who had stood against Riven. He looked at the family he had accidentally built. I accept, he said. Vivian smiled. Excellent. I will enjoy watching you fall. She swept from the chamber, Draven following, already planning their victory. Henrik climbed down into the arena and rushed to Briar, checking her pulse, her breathing. She is alive, he said, relief flooding his voice. Weak, but alive. Theron knelt beside them. I am sorry. I should never have. You saved her life by stopping when you did, Henrik interrupted. And she saved yours by offering in the first place. We are even. That night, Briar woke in the East Wing medical chamber. Riven was beside her, holding her hand in his tiny grip. And Theron sat in a chair nearby, watching over both of them. You came back, Briar said sleepily. I did, Theron said. Are you going to win tomorrow? Theron did not lie to her. I do not know. Briar sat up slowly, still weak. Then we need help. What kind of help? Briar's eyes were serious. You have been fighting alone for so long you forgot something important. What? You do not have to anymore. Morning came too fast. Vivian arrived in the arena exactly at sunset, dressed in armor that gleamed like black ice, carrying a sword forged in the old world. She looked every inch the warrior queen. Theron stood opposite her, exhausted but ready to fight one more time. But when the challenge was called, something happened that no one expected. Lady Seraphine walked into the arena and stood beside Theron. If you fight him, you fight me too. Then 2 more council members joined them. Then Henrik walked down carrying Riven, and he stood at the edge of the arena. I cannot fight vampires, he said. But I can bear witness. And I can scream loud enough that everyone hears when you cheat. And then the physician joined them. And servants who had watched Briar care for Riven. And guards who had seen Theron's desperate love for his son. One by one, they formed a wall around Theron. Not to fight for him, but to stand with him. Vivian stared at the united front, and for the first time, her mask cracked. What is this? This is family, Theron said quietly. This is what you never understood. Power is not about fear. It is about people willing to stand with you when everything falls apart. Vivian's hand tightened on her sword. You think this changes anything? I will cut through all of them to get to you. Then you will have to, Lady Seraphine said calmly. And every vampire in this territory will know you murdered the innocent to steal a throne. Is that the legacy you want? The crowd watching from the galleries murmured. Some in agreement. Some in disapproval. But all of them watching to see what the queen would do. Vivian looked at Theron, at the people surrounding him, at Riven in Henrik's arms. And she made a choice. Listen, people. Can we just pause for a second? Because I need to know where you are right now. What city? What country? Are you watching this at midnight when you should be sleeping? Are you crying like I am? Drop a comment and tell me, because this community we are building, it is real. It is special. And you are part of it. Hit subscribe if you have not already. We have so much more coming, and I promise you do not want to miss it. Now let us see how this ends. Vivian lowered her sword. The movement was small, barely noticeable, but in that arena it was everything. I did not come back for the throne, she said quietly, and her voice had lost its sharp edge. I came back because I heard my son was alive. And I wanted to see if the rumors were true. What rumors? Theron asked carefully. That you had changed. That the great Theron Blackwell, who never showed weakness, who ruled with an iron fist for 500 years, had finally learned how to love. She walked closer, and the crowd held its breath. But she did not raise her weapon. Instead, she looked at Riven in Henrik's arms. May I? She asked. Henrik glanced at Theron, who nodded slowly. Vivian approached and looked down at her son for the first time in 18 months. Riven stared up at her with curious eyes, and she touched his small hand. He did not pull away. Did not cry. Just watched her with the calm acceptance of a child who knew nothing of her abandonment. He looks like you, Vivian whispered. Then she looked at Briar, who had been helped down to the arena by the physician. But he has her heart. Briar, still weak from the blood loss, stood straighter. He has his own heart. I just helped him use it. Vivian's lips quirked into something that might have been a smile. You are very brave for such a small human. My daddy says courage is not about size, Briar said. Your daddy is right. Vivian turned to Theron. I cannot do what she does. I cannot look at him and see anything but my failure. When I look at Riven, all I see is the weakness I created. The shame I could not bear. He is not your failure, Theron said, his voice rough. He is our son. And there is no shame in him. Vivian's eyes glistened, but no tears fell. I know that now. But knowing and feeling are different things. She stepped back. I am withdrawing my challenge. The crowd erupted in shocked whispers. Draven shot to his feet. You cannot do that. We had an agreement. We had a plan, Vivian corrected coldly. Your plan. To use my pain and my son to steal a throne. But I will not be your pawn, Draven. Not anymore. She turned to the crowd. I am formally dissolving my marriage bond to Theron Blackwell. I renounce all claims to the throne and to the prince. She looked at her son one last time. He deserves a father who can love him. And you, Theron, finally learned how. She walked toward the exit, but paused beside Briar. Take care of him, little one. And teach his father everything you know about courage. Then she was gone. Draven stood alone, his face twisted with rage. This is not over, he snarled. The council will never accept. Actually, Lady Seraphine interrupted, I think we will. She looked at the other council members. All in favor of upholding King Theron's rule? One by one, hands rose. Even vampires who had voted against him before now voted in his favor. Because they had seen something that changed everything. They had seen him willing to die for people who were not his own blood. They had seen a human child sacrifice for a vampire king. They had seen Henrik stand against impossible odds. They had seen strangers become family. And it had reminded them of something they had forgotten in their centuries of cold politics and brutal survival. That love was not weakness. It was the strongest force in existence. The vote was unanimous. Draven's face went pale. Then he turned and fled, knowing his schemes had crumbled to dust. The crowd erupted in applause, but Theron barely heard it. He crossed the arena to where Henrik stood with Riven and knelt down. "May I?" he asked, the same words Vivian had used. Henrik smiled and carefully placed Riven in Theron's arms. The baby looked up at his father, and this time, Theron did not look away. Did not see weakness or failure or shame. He saw his son. Perfect and imperfect and absolutely worth everything. "Hello, little one," Theron whispered. "I am sorry it took me so long to hold you." Riven's small hand reached up and touched Theron's face, and the king who had conquered territories and destroyed enemies felt tears slip down his cheeks for the first time in 500 years. Briar moved beside them, and Riven's other hand reached for her immediately. They stood there, the three of them, an impossible family held together by a bond that should not exist but was stronger than any magic. Henrik's voice was thick with emotion. "What happens now?" "Now," Theron said, looking up at his friend, "we build something new. A kingdom that does not destroy the different but protects them. A place where broken things are not hidden but healed." Lady Seraphine approached. "That is a beautiful vision, Your Majesty. But it will not be easy. There will be others like Draven. Others who see this as weakness. Then they will learn the same lesson he did," Theron said, standing with Riven still in his arms. "That love is not weakness. It is the most dangerous weapon in existence." 3 months passed. Thornwood Keep, as it came to be called, became a sanctuary. Word spread through the supernatural world that King Theron Blackwell was offering protection to those who were different, broken, or hunted. Vampires who did not fit the mold. Humans who knew too much. Children born with defects that other territories would have destroyed. They came slowly at first. Then in greater numbers. Henrik became the head of grounds, overseeing not just gardens but the expansion of cottages to house the growing community. Briar became Riven's official guardian and companion, a title that had never existed before but fit perfectly. And Riven grew. Not as fast as normal vampire children. Not with the same abilities. But he grew stronger every day. He learned to walk holding Briar's hand. He learned to laugh at Henrik's silly faces. He learned that his father would sit with him every night and read him stories about brave mice and gentle lions. On a cold December evening, Theron stood in the doorway of the nursery watching Briar teach Riven how to stack wooden blocks. The scene was so ordinary, so domestic, so impossibly beautiful that it still took his breath away. But this time, he did not stay in the doorway. He entered. Sat on the floor beside them. And when Riven knocked over the blocks and clapped his small hands in delight, Theron clapped too. "You are getting better at this," Briar said, grinning at him. "At what?" "Building blocks. At being a dad." Theron looked at this fierce little girl who had saved his son and then saved him. "I had a good teacher." Henrik appeared in the doorway with hot chocolate for Briar and a bottle of warmed fruit juice for Riven. The groundskeeper had his own rooms in the keep now, but he spent most evenings here, in this makeshift family they had built from broken pieces. Lady Seraphine stopped by to check on the prince, she announced. She brought a gift. She held up a wooden toy horse, carved with exquisite detail. "That was kind of her," Theron said. "She is not the only one," Henrik continued. 6 more families arrived today seeking sanctuary. And 3 council members from the Northern Territories sent word they want to visit. They are curious about what you are building here. "Let them come," Theron said. "Let them see that there is another way." Riven yawned, his small face scrunching up in that way that meant bedtime was near. Briar picked him up expertly and carried him to his crib, the one that was no longer surrounded by medical equipment but by toys and books and drawings she had made. She sang the lullaby she had sung the very first night. You are loved, little one. You are perfect. You are wanted. And this time, Theron sang with her. When Riven was asleep, when Henrik had tucked Briar into her own room down the hall, Theron stood alone in the nursery and looked at his sleeping son. They say monsters cannot change, he whispered. They say darkness always wins. They say broken things should be hidden or destroyed. But you taught me something, Riven. You and Briar and Henrik and everyone who chose to stand when it would have been easier to run. You taught me that the broken pieces are where the light gets in. That love is not about perfection. It is about showing up. Even when you are scared. Even when you do not know what you are doing. Even when everything tells you to walk away. He touched his son's small hand. You changed my life forever, little one. Not because you were strong, but because you taught me what real strength looks like. He turned to leave, but paused at the doorway. One last time, he looked back at the scene that had started everything. The crib. The sleeping child. The peace that should have been impossible. But this time, he was not standing in shadows. He was standing in light. My name is Theron Blackwell. I have been king for over 500 years. I have conquered enemies. I have built empires. I have survived wars and plagues and betrayals. But the greatest battle I ever fought was the one against my own fear. The greatest victory I ever won was learning how to love a son I thought was too broken to deserve it. And the greatest teacher I ever had was an 8-year-old human girl who looked at a dying baby vampire and saw not an abomination but a child who needed help. They say we are defined by our strength. But I learned something in the halls of Ravencrest Keep. We are not defined by what we can destroy. We are defined by what we choose to protect. And some families are not born. They are built from broken pieces that refuse to stay shattered. If this story reached into your chest and grabbed your heart, if you believe that broken can be beautiful, that love is stronger than fear, that family is who shows up when everything falls apart, then I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button. Join this community. Because we are building something special here. A place where stories do not just entertain but transform. Where we believe that the smallest act of courage can change everything. Drop a comment and tell me, what would you risk everything to protect? I will read every single one. Welcome to Thornwood. Welcome to the family. Welcome home.